Welcome to the Money Manifestation Mastery Podcast with your host, Lara Waldman, where we talk all things money. Big money, big purpose, big power. Waking up your wealth for heart-centered business owners and entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we are going to speak about soulful surrender. How to surrender to the guidance, to the wisdom of your soul in your business, in your finances, and your life. Let's dive in. I've spent over 20 years connected to and listening to the wisdom and guidance of my soul. This has been a skill that I've developed over many years, and I would love to share some of the wealthy wisdom I have with you around creating in your business and your finances guided by your soul, and how to surrender to your soul's wisdom in order to create powerfully and effectively in your business, your finances, and your personal life. I started to develop a relationship with my soul when I started meditating, when I was 18 years old. And while I was meditating, I started to have these experiences that I couldn't understand, that quite honestly really scared me in the beginning, because I started to see things, feel things, and hear things that I didn't understand. It took me a number of years of developing this relationship to start trusting in the information that my soul or higher self was telling me. It took me time to trust in the visions that I was seeing, guided by my soul. And it took me time to understand the information that was coming through for me. But over time, I started to understand that this soul-aligned wisdom, this soulful information, had a perspective that was far beyond my logical mind. And at first, it took a huge amount of trust to listen, to follow this information. And slowly but surely, one wobbly step at a time, I started to understand through experience that this soul-aligned guidance, this soulful information, was incredibly smart and that I needed to listen to it. I made a choice when I was in my mid-20s to always follow the guidance of my soul, to follow this intuitive guidance, to follow this wealthy wisdom. I made a commitment to listen to it and follow it. And it's taken me on the most extraordinary path of growth, of evolution, of healing, of developing my work, constantly growing and evolving into new levels of my work. It's been quite a wild ride, a wonderful ride. And what I know now is that my soul, that soulful wisdom, was guiding me into a whole new world that was beyond the past pain, past trauma, old patterns, old programs, old cycles of abuse that have been passed down from generation to generation. My soul was guiding me to build, to create a whole new experience of being a human being in this world, a whole new experience of being in business, a whole new experience with money and wealth. But my logical mind didn't understand because my soulful wisdom was guiding me into a world that I hadn't yet experienced. It was guiding me into an experience that I hadn't yet lived, and my ancestors hadn't lived. I had no data and evidence that this was a thing, even. So our soul, this inner guidance, your intuition, this deep inner knowing, has a perspective that's beyond the logical mind. I call it a vision or a possibility, because this is a higher realm of perspective, a higher point of view, a higher vision. See it like the eagle eye vision soaring above life. This part of you has perspective and can see beyond the ground of pain and suffering, problems and challenge. As I worked as a healer and developed my meditation practice in my mid-20s, I started to see that the pain and problems that my clients were coming to me with had a soul-aligned perspective. Their soul and my soul would have a conversation with me and the client to help them understand what was going on. That on a soul's perspective, every problem and every pain had a purpose. There was a reason for that experience. It was an opportunity for growth, for evolution, for healing, for change. And on a soul-aligned perspective, there was no judgment of good or bad. It was a human being having an experience. And the soul wants to have all sorts of different experiences, the good ones and the bad ones. And that soul's guidance, that soul's perspective through the pain and challenges and problems that my clients were coming to me with had a pathway, had a way through, a way out of these problems in a really interesting and often unusual way. I was taught how to alchemize pain, how to transform problems, turn pain into purpose, turn problems into prosperity. That there was a way to transform every single pain and problem into something life-giving. But this is an unusual point of view, and not everyone is open to this level of conversation, but I found it incredibly reassuring. It really supported me through so many challenges, so many obstacles in my life, in my marriage, raising children, in my home life, in my work life, my finances, friendships, extended family, and beyond. Every pain, problem, challenge, or trigger that I have, I take to my soul. I take to that wealthy wisdom within, that intuitive guidance that knows how to navigate through every single problem. Because on the level of the soul, there is no problem. And on the level of the soul, we're here to experience life. It's a bit like Earth School. We come to Earth School to learn, to grow, to evolve, to have all sorts of experiences. On a soul level, there is no judgment. There is no good or bad. We're here to experience all of it, the full spectrum of life. Now, that doesn't mean that as human beings, we don't take a stand for things that are problematic, that we don't fight for change and advocate for people in this world. It doesn't mean that we sit back and do nothing. Not at all. But the soulful perspective helps to relax into some of the problems that life presents. What I noticed when I started my relationship with my soul, my higher self, my inner guidance, and I committed to listening to it, I noticed that there was a real discrepancy between what my mind thought, my reactions to life's challenges and problems, and what my soul had to say, what my inner guidance had to say. They had very different perspectives. My human self, my hardwiring, would often go into a survival response, that fight, flight, or freeze response. I would be reacting to the problem. Taking reactive action was my first impulse. It was often to hide or to freeze, to withdraw. But my soul-aligned perspective had another point of view, and it would show me another possibility, and it would pave a path for healing, for growth, for evolution. It would show me a way through into a whole new world that my mind didn't even know was possible. For a long time, this was a vision. It was a vision about what my life looked like, what my future looked like, what was available to me in my marriage, in my personal life, in my professional life, in my financial life. But it blew my mind, quite literally. It was completely against my old programming. It was completely against what I understood or what I thought was true about life. And this soulful guidance patiently consistently showed me another possibility. And I chose to listen, and I chose to follow. What I didn't know then that I know now is that my soul's guidance was taking me on a journey of healing. It was patiently and lovingly guiding me through old pain and old trauma patterns that had lived inside of me for most of my life, and not only just my life, but in the lives of my ancestors. I've been carrying very deep, old, wounded patterns, programs, beliefs, point of views that were very old. My soul was taking me on a journey to dismantle the old, painful world that lived inside of my nervous system, that lived inside of my brain, and was helping me to rebuild a new world aligned with my soul, aligned with my heart, aligned with my body, and aligned with the planet. It was guiding me into a place of deeper and richer connection, deeper, richer relationships with other human beings, but also with my business, with my bank account, with my finances. I was shown that everything has a consciousness. My business has a consciousness. Money has a consciousness. It is energy. Everything is energy. Now, this is a very different point of view from logic, from what our logical mind will tell us. And I had a lot of objections, and I still do sometimes. I have a lot of objections. I have a lot of questions about what my soul is telling me. I would argue with my soul's guidance sometimes, but my soul's guidance always had a beautiful, clear, and calm answer. What wasn't calm and clear was my reactions, because my soul was guiding me into a new world that I didn't know. And my nervous system shouted, danger, danger. So I would go into freeze or flight or fight when it came to moving forward into this wealthy world that I was being guided into. I found it very painful. I found it very challenging, but only because I was fighting what was wanting to happen. So slowly but surely, I learned something that I call soulful surrender. How to surrender to my soul, how to surrender to my soul's guidance. You may have heard the saying, let go, let God. It's along similar lines. This is about getting out of the way and allowing the wisdom of your soul to lead you and guide you through life. On one level, this is about having a higher perspective, pulling out of the pain or problems or challenges that you're currently experiencing, releasing judgment, criticism, reaction against what is happening, moving beyond stories or knee-jerk reactions to what is showing up in your lived experience. It is giving you a higher perspective, a different perspective, another perspective that can help you to relax and surrender into what is happening. And when you can relax into what is happening and release your judgments about what is happening, it opens up possibilities in your mind to show you new pathways, new possibilities, new ways to solve problems. On a practical level, what I've realized is soulful surrender is about relaxing and regulating your nervous system, moving you from survival, from that fight, flight, freeze response into thriving, reminding yourself that you are safe and it is okay, and to relax into life. And from that place of deeper relaxation and deeper trust, you open up, your mind opens up to possibilities. It opens up your perspective. It opens up your point of view. When we go into survival mode, when you feel under threat, our point of view becomes very small and very limited. And you feel under threat, and life feels dangerous. The soulful surrender is both a spiritual practice, but also a very pragmatic practice. It depends whether you want to look at it on the energetic level, the spiritual level, or on the level of the body, the mind, and the nervous system. They interact together. They co-create together. Even though my perspective is very soulful and energetic, I try to ground this information to make it accessible, to bridge it with science, to bridge it with logic, to help your mind get on board. There is a scientific approach, there's a scientific answer to this soulful surrender. I personally enjoy my connection to the soul-aligned perspective, that visionary perspective, that spiritual perspective. But if you're more of a logical thinker, you can see it on the level of the mind, neuroscience, your nervous system. What I find incredible about human beings is we have the possibility to create, to innovate, to problem solve. And it's through our greatest problems and challenges that we create solutions. Without the pain, without the problem, there wouldn't be any friction. And through that challenge, we grow and evolve. So with every pain, problem, and challenge, there's an opportunity for growth, for learning, for unlearning, healing, evolution. So I choose to lean in to every pain and problem from that point of view and that perspective. But trust me, I didn't for a long time. And there still may be resistance in my body. I still may react, have an initial reaction. But what I now do is I never take action from a reaction. I always make sure I calm down, regulate my nervous system, work my wounds, and then tap back into that soul-aligned perspective. I tap into that wealthy wisdom within. I tap into my intuitive guidance. I tap into my soul-aligned wisdom. The soul-aligned perspective is very different from the human perspective, but they do co-create together. And I found that soul-aligned understanding can bring a sense of peace and acceptance through very difficult and challenging times. It can allow us to surrender, to relax, to allow, to be kinder to ourselves and to each other. But it doesn't make it easy. The challenges that human beings experience and are experiencing are really hard and sometimes devastating. So this soul-aligned perspective doesn't take away from human pain, challenge, and suffering. My intention with this information is to bring more heart, more compassion, and more care into the way that we live our lives, the way that we run our businesses, the way that we work with money. So the point of view of soulful surrender is to understand that on a soul level, there are things that you are here to experience, to go through, that are here as part of the riches of life. That part of you signed up for this experience. I remember arguing with my soul, if I signed up for this, I take it back. This is way harder than I thought. On the soul level, this looks really easy, really simple. The vision looks great, but the reality of building, of creating in business, life, and finances is a lot harder than it looks in this beautiful vision. So I've had arguments with my soul. I've had arguments with my inner guidance. It's quite funny. But eventually I remember to surrender to my soul, to surrender to the problems, obstacles, and challenges that are presenting, and to remember that it's about taking one baby step at a time. And that on some level, all of this is here to grow us, to evolve us. And there's an opportunity for healing, growth, and transformation if we choose to lean in, if we choose to let go, if we choose to soulfully surrender. Your soul-aligned perspective will make sure that everything you're doing in your business and your finances and your life is holding the bigger picture in place. Our ego, our trauma, our wounding can have us going down all sorts of rabbit holes and make decisions that are not the best choice. We tend to make short-term, fast decisions from our survival part of our brain, where the soul-aligned place will be coming from a place of thriving. It will be a longer-term perspective. It will be making sure you're building something that's really going to sustain you and support you. But not only you, all of the lives that you touch. Because on the soul-aligned perspective, you understand that you are interconnected with all of life, and you're not separate from anyone or anything. So what you do matters, what you do counts, what you do has an impact on your life and on the lives of others. So there's a number of resources in this podcast to support you with connecting to your soul, what I call your wealthy wisdom within, your inner guidance system. You can meditate or journal or move your body. There are a number of different resources to help you connect on this level. And this is one of my gifts, is to help you connect to your soul, to help you connect to your soul-aligned vision, your soul-aligned business, your soul-aligned wealth, your soul-aligned life, and to help you get into alignment with your soul and bring it down through the body, aligned with your heart, aligned with your body, and aligned with the planet, so that everything that you do becomes a life-giving process, where you're giving to life, contributing to life, rather than unconsciously hurting or harming yourself or others, squashing life or suffocating life. So if you're experiencing any challenges or setbacks, pain or problems in your business, your finances, or your life, try surrendering to your soul, the bigger picture, the greater point of view, the higher perspective. What does your soul have to say? That wealthy wisdom within. I would love to hear. It is my superpower to help you connect to your soul-aligned vision in your business, in your finances, and your life. So if you would like any support with this, I invite you to head over to my website, larawaldman.com. You can book in a call with me where I'll help you connect to your soul, what you're being called into next in your business, in your finances, in your life, and we'll get clear on your next best aligned action step. Or you can join us for any of my upcoming events, my online wealth retreats, my live in-person events, and we'll do this work together. Please don't hesitate to reach out for any support. It would be my pleasure to connect with you. Thank you for joining us for today's episode, Soulful Surrender, how to create in your business, your finances, and your life in alignment with your soul. If you haven't already, don't forget to follow or subscribe to this podcast to never miss an episode, and I look forward to being with you again next time.